arkadaşlar. YuGiOh'un bir videosuna daha hoş geldiniz. Bugün Elias'la çektiğimiz Sky Striker deste profiliyle karşınızdayız. Kendisi geçen hafta yapılan Avrupa'ya özel Remote Duel YCS'te 1800 kişi arasından 51. oldu. Bu arada videonun geri kalan kısmına devam etmeden önce abone olup videoyu beğenmeyi unutmayınız. Her türlü sorunuzu da yorumlara yazabilirsiniz. Bu video daha çok onun kart seçimlerinin arkasında yatan nedenleri, turnuvadaki maçlarına nasıl geçtiği hakkında olacak. Yani eğer Sky Striker destesine daha yeniyseniz yakında yayınlayacağım deste profiline bakabilirsiniz. O deste profili hem Türkçe hem de deste hakkında hiçbir bilgisi olmayanların bile anlayabildiği bir şekilde olacak. Eğer bu videonun Türkçe'ye çevrilmiş halini istiyorsanız yorumlara yazabilirsiniz. Yeteri kadar yorum gelirse isteğinize göre alt yazı ekleyebilir, direkt ikimizin konuşmalarının Türkçe olarak dublajını yapabilir ya da sizin istediğiniz başka bir şekilde de bu çeviriyi yapabilirim. İyi seyirler.
Hello everyone, I'm Han from YuGiOh, and on 9th of July I participated in the European Remote Duel YCS. Even though this was my first big event and YCS, I went 4-2-2 with sort of a budget Sky Striker build. After the tournament ended, I was looking at the Discord server's deck profile channel, which was for people to share their innovative and or successful deck lists, and guess what I saw? I saw Elias's message that said he could share his 8-1 striker deck profile. I said why not and took the opportunity to learn the intricacies of the deck from him and share it with everyone else. Elias is known for his stops with striker, so I think he is very experienced with this deck. This event wasn't an exception, and he placed 51st out of around 1800 people. Before we start this video off, I would deeply appreciate if you like, comment and subscribe for more awesome YuGiOh content. And without further ado, the floor is yours, Elias.
Hi, I'm Elias, and I went 8 wins and 1 draw and 2 losses at the main event of the YCS in Remote Duel, and I was the best Sky Striker player at this event. I played going second Sky Striker, and yeah, this event was pretty fine. This deck was pretty consistent. I actually bricked only once in 11 rounds, so this is perfectly fine, and I will show you my deck and tell you about some of the matchups I got. First off, for the monsters, 3 Ray and 2 Roses. The main thing you have to watch out in Sky Striker now, you have 1 engage back, that's great, but you still have need to have your access to your link monsters. So consistency is the key, and you need for that to play as many monsters as possible without bricking. So 3 Rays is pretty mandatory, and now it was the decision whether to play 2 or 3 Roses. But with 2 Roses, you just brick too often because you draw too many monsters in your hand. But 2 is pretty fine. You can special herself when you special summon Sky Striker monsters, so you can get easier access to Zeke or ladder climb to Access Code Talker, and she can special itself from the graveyard, so you can negate any monster on the field without targeting, and this permanently. So this is also a Dragoon out or any other monster that can be targeted. So this card is really, really great.
Is that a Starlight roll, by the way?
Yeah.
Yeah, nice.
Then for the hand traps, 3 Ash, great hand trap, 3 Ghost Spell, best hand trap in the current meta, I believe, and 3 Impermanences, because Impermanence is a better Veiler, and Veiler is good. So this is only my hand trap lineup. I play Ghost second, but only play 9 hand traps. But the main reason is I play Kaiju's main. I play 2 Kaijus in my main deck. This catches many people off guard. Many people just commit in their first turn in game 1, so they think, oh, nice, I won the dice roll, I go first, I just summon everything I've got, and then they get Kaiju'd and lose the game because they overcommitted. Also, it's a great way to out annoying monsters like Dragoon, the Ad Ignister Link 6, or Sky Striker Link monsters, Sunlight Wolf, anything basically. It's really great against any deck, and it was the best decision I could have done. It's definitely the most voted player in this deck. You could also play 3 Kaijus if you want to, it's perfectly fine.
Before we move on to the spells, can I ask something about the hand traps?
The hand traps, yeah, sure.
What do you think about DD Crow?
DD Crow is a great card in the current meta. I would have played it when I wouldn't have played Sky Striker, because Sky Striker has first I can also Ghost Spell. Ghost Spell also often works against many decks, but I do also have Shark Cannon, and I can search Shark Cannon, recycle it turn for turn for turn. So this is also a great way to deal with the monsters. It's not a hand trap, so you can't throw it when your opponent goes first, but I think this is perfectly fine, and I never was in trouble and thought, man, I wish I had a DD Crow right now.
I actually played Sky Strikers too, and I opted to play 2 Bell and 2 Crow. The
Okay.
is especially good in the Salamangreat and Sky Striker matchup because you can banish things permanently instead of just negating like the add of Sunlight Wolf or add of Kagari, and
That's right, but the main problem with DD Crow is the best deck currently is Tri-Brigade, and against Tri-Brigade, DD Crow is pretty bad, but Ghost Bear is really, really great, and it blocks the Revolt, and I don't want to lose against Revolt, so I have to play 3 Ghost Bears, and also it negates Ray effect in the graveyard, so it kind of deals with it also against Sky Striker, and 1 turn is all I need until I can search my Shark Cannon and banish the monsters anyways, so Ghost Bear was pretty fine alone without Crow.
yeah, my version was a little bit slower one, so you can like just negate something with Belt for a turn and kill them the next turn, but I couldn't do that, so I have to like
Oh no, I don't kill next turn either, but I can set up very easily. When I just Ghost Spell, I don't know the Kagari of my opponent. I just set up everything so I can deal with it anyways for the next turn. So, okay, I negated your Kagari, adding back your engage. Okay, sure. Now I have everything to negate it next turn, and then the turn again, and the turn again, and the turn again. It's just important for the first turn, you know? Okay, that's it for the monsters and the hand traps. The rest are spells. Free field spell. It's pretty important. Again, consistency is the key. This gives you access to all your Sky Striker spells and most importantly to your monsters. Even if you don't reveal Sky Striker cards, you can also try to pop it with multi-roll, or maybe in the worst case with jamming waves, so you get your monsters anyway. So it's a great card, and if you don't need it right now, you can always have the option to just dump it with Hayati to deck thin a bit. So this is overall a great ratio. It's basically Pot of Duality for Sky Striker cards, and everybody would like to play Pot of Duality. Then 3 Widow Anchor, that's quite obvious. Widow Anchor, great card. 2 Shark Cannons. Shark Cannon is also a great card in the current meta. You can banish anything in any deck, and it hurts. Even against Prankets, you can just banish some of their targets with the fusion or the link monsters. And yeah, it's just great. Also, you can just special summon annoying monsters from your opponent's graveyard, like Dragoon, or any link 2 or 3 to go into X-Code Talker. So this is great. Then 1 Engage, obviously. 1 Hornetrons, 1 multi-roll, afterburner, and jamming waves, just for utility, so you can also pop spell traps without having 3 spells in your graveyard. Hercules Space, important for the grind game, the main strength of this deck, and this card pushes the grind game to the next limit. So especially in grindy matchups like, I don't know, Altergeist, Salamangreat, Sky Striker, this card is just nuts and gives you a huge advantage when you can just recover all of your resources. And 1 Eagle Booster. I thought about 2 because I expected many Sky Striker players to come back after the ban list and just play the event, but then I thought, okay, 2 Eagle Boosters is great in the Sky Striker matchup, but I just want to cover all the meta matchups, so I decided to go with only 1, and it did pay off. I didn't face any strikers, sadly, so yeah, this is great. Then I played 2 Pot of Prosperity. This is my substitute to Desires, because I really don't like Desires in this deck, because again, the game plan of Sky Striker is to grind out your opponent. Let them generate minus and minus and minus turn for turn for turn. You Widow Anchor turn for turn. You draw into hand traps. You sharken your opponent, so they can't do anything anymore, and loses hand cards and field cards, and let them bleed out. And Desires is really counteracting this game plan, because you banish 10 random precious resource cards, and these 10 cards can make a huge difference in a long-term grind game, so it creates long-term problems. You get a +1 immediately, that's great, but Sky Striker doesn't really need that because we don't want to OTK anyways, and just a slower space but safer paced game is the way to go. And Prosperity just banishes specifically. You can choose what you like to banish for specific matchups. If you know you play against Salamander, you can just dump the Ningirsu because you don't need it and just reveal cards you just need. If you have your main deck monsters already in your hand, you can dig for hand traps or maybe for an engage, and if not, you can try to search for your monsters or spell and dig again. So this card is a great consistency boost without destroying your game plan. That's why I chose Prosperity over Desires.
I think it's like an uncommon choice among the Sky Striker players because everybody say that you can't banish your precious extra deck cards. Like you need everything that you have to recycle them with the equip spell, the Hercules base.
Yeah, right. I can. Yeah, that's the thing. You have plenty of matchups in which some of the extra cards aren't that great than other cards, and then you can say, okay, I probably don't need this extra deck card anymore and can banish it to get into my place or to get another interruption. This isn't too bad because unlike Extra or Desires, you banish as you want, and this makes a huge difference because, for example, when I go second against some combo decks or not so grind decks, I can just say, okay, bye Shizuku, I only need 2 to win, and if not, I have still my Hercules space left to shuffle 2 or 1 Shizuku back again, and this then a huge advantage when I can do this and the others not. So this is why Prosperity is, in my opinion, better than Desires, and I think my results show this too. I mean, I was the best Sky Striker player at this event, so, and this card came really good. Okay, moving on. 2 Foolish Barrel Goods with Metal Force Fusion. It's again a really good card to set up your place. You can just send Engage or any other striker card or even Metal Force Fusion. And Metal Force Fusion is every time a Upset Goblin. Even if you draw it, you have plenty of options to remove it with the Field Spell, with Multi-Roll, with Zeke. So this card is most of the time not really dead. My priority with Barrel Goods?
Yeah.
Mostly
And Sky Striker spells or Metal Force Fusion?
mostly Metal Force Fusion because I go second and then I can normal Ray special Hayati and Hayati can send the Sky Striker spell I want anyways. But if I go first, I mostly send Engage or Anchor.
Do you usually like put 3 spells in your graveyard in the first turn, or do you
If
send Engage to have access to it anyways?
Depends on the hand and to the matchup. When I play against Sky Striker, for example, I just don't immediately dump my Engage into the graveyard. There's no need to. You can't kill me next turn anyways, and I can just play safe, put another spell in my graveyard. Shizuku might get Ash, might not. Doesn't really matter because I always have my next and my next turn. So sometimes I go for the free spells in my graveyard, and sometimes when I have to get as many interruptions as possible, I go for the Engage. Then 2 consistency cards, Terraforming Rota, pretty self-explaining, good cards. And then I'm a Sky Striker player, so I have to play 1 Mystic Mine, sadly. I don't like this card, but it's a really good card, and it baits negates. It can stop a bit until you have enough cards to get back into the game, and it's just a nasty card. I hope this will get banned anytime soon, but some people play 2 or 3 of them, so I think I'm just more human than some other Sky Striker players. And last but not least, 1 Feather Duster. It's a great spell card that just got unbanned. It's good with multi-roll. It is good going second to clear control decks out. Why not playing this card?
Did you play Upstart Goblin?
No, because Upset Goblin is a bit annoying when I get it plus the pot.
Oh, right, yeah.
Because you can't draw anymore. But it's not too terrible. I mean, 39 cards is great, but 40 is as great. Doesn't really matter, and I never missed it.
I think you didn't play Cold by the Grave because you go second, right?
Yeah, right. I go second, and I have a searchable Cold by the Grave in my deck, and I often didn't need this card anyways. So yeah, I just cut it out. But I had it like for 2 weeks or so in my deck. You can play it. I don't really mind, but I don't really need this card. For the extra deck, 3 Kagari, 3 Hayate, 3 Shizuku, 1 Kaina and 1 Zeke. Pretty standard lineup. Some people play only 2 Hayate maybe, but I'm pretty fine with 3 because again, the meta is full of grind decks and control decks, and having all the Skystriker options you could possibly need is great, and this is then just great package. Then for last extra deck cards, 1 Phoenix, 1 Ningirsu, great card to out annoying monsters like a Dragoon again, or send annoying back row because he doesn't target, so you can just bait things out or send order to the graveyard, or I don't know. It's just a great utility card. And 1 Triple Burst. This is my greatest utility card. First off, he needs only 2 monsters, so any monsters is great. You can steal any monster and still get to this. It deals piercing damage, it's great for the timeout. It negates anything in a damage step, which is also great. You can out the Ray in the graveyard, and you can tribute itself to special summon 1 link 2 or less from your graveyard next turn. So this is pretty useful in some situations, and it's just good to have a card like this in your extra deck. Also, this card is great to get into Access Code Talker, and Access Code Talker is broken.
Why didn't you play the Hulky 5X and Saline package?
Good question.
You could play only one effect whaler and play that. Maybe.
Yeah, right. I saw many players play Hulky Febrax and Celine, but the thing is, it has a huge drawback. You lose 2 of your extra deck spaces and potentially at least 1 main deck space for the Veiler. And I really don't like losing this space in my main and extra deck. And also, you don't really need this. You played this package with Hulky Febrax and Celine before because you don't have the engage. So you weren't able really to search for your Widow Anchor and Shark Cannon besides Hayate, Send, and then Kagari at back, and Shizuku in face. This was all really slow. And Hulky Febrax helped the deck then a lot to get to your Link 4 quite fast and try to OTK the opponent. But now you don't really need it anymore. You have your engaged back. You can search your Widow Anchors, your Shark Cannons, your Raised Roses, your Hornet Drones at any time you want. And this is more than enough. I never had the problem getting into to Access Code Talker when I wanted to summon him. So yeah, I think Hulky Febrax is just outdated in this deck since engaged is back at 1.
Have you summoned the Phoenix in the tournament?
Yeah, quite a lot. It helps against anti-spell and against other floodgates like Order, Tikaboo, and so on. It's a good card to have, especially I have no great spell trap outs in my main deck besides Afterburn and Jamming Waves. I had a situation, I got ordered and there was Almirage. I just attack with Hayate into Almirage, send the Rose in the graveyard, effect Rose specials itself, and then I was just able to go into Phoenix, pop the Order and activate my engage. So Rose is in this perspective also a really great card. So that's for my extra deck. Now my side deck, 3 cherries to instantly win the Skystriker mirror match. As I said, I expected many Skystriker players to enter the tournament, and when I dropped this in Skystriker mirror match, it's just game over instantly because you have your 3 Kagaris and they have just nothing. They have to search for their cards super slowly and doesn't have the recursion anymore besides multi-roll. And you can just also avoid the opponent has Shark Cannon, that's true, but you can just activate Raise effect to summon Kagari so it doesn't get summoned probably, and they can't Shark Cannon Kagari anymore from the graveyard. So basically you're the only one with Kagaris in the mirror match, and this is a decisive factor. Then 1 Pankratops, great card, can't complain about this. Outs every card on the field if I need to. Cosmic Cyclones, it's pretty important to have a quick spell trap removal currently because it outs many different things like floodgates, like Order, anti-spell, but also tanky, the field spell of Ignister, or any combo piece like this, or Will from Salamangreat, multi-roll, just a good card. And I'm glad I put this card in my deck because before Cosmic Cyclones these were Alpha Beast Kings, but Cosmics are just better. After game 1 I usually side for go first when I lose. In game 2 or 3, so I play 3 Judgments, 3 different Dimension Grounds, and 3 Heavy Storm Dusters. Judgments are just great for everything. It just protects your back row, it negates the normal summon of Prankets at Ignistar, it negates annoying spell trap cards, it negates follow-up plays, and so on and so on. It's a busted card. Different Dimension Grounds is also really great against the current meta because Tri-Brigade can't trigger their effects anymore, Salamangreat can't play through this, Prankets can't play through this because they lose all their resources when they do, and yeah, this card is really great against the current meta, and it doesn't really care if your link monster gets banished because Ray gets summoned anyways. So yeah, this is really great. And Heavy Storm Duster is for control jobs, and it helps a lot. And also it deals again with Order, Anti-Spell, and other floodgates that can be possibly annoying. So yeah, this is my go first lineup and my side deck.
So I'm surprised that if they let you go second again, you don't have many chainable. Like, you only have 2 Cosmic Cyclones for the Anti-Spell and the Imperial Order.
When they want to go first again, I just normally stick to my main deck and maybe removed the Mystic Mine and maybe the pot to just add my Cosmic Cyclones and Pancratops to increase the probability to out the anti-spells or orders or any other back row that could be annoying. But the main problem is anti-spell and order, and yeah, it's just around the same probability that I draw this, then my opponent tries to draw into theirs. So I was pretty fine with this, and I never really had the problem against any floodgate. I was able to out anything, and yeah, I was just glad that I stick with this game plan.
Just because of those traps, I main 2 Cosmic Cyclones and I sided in 3 Twin Twisters and 3rd Cosmic Cyclones and the Pancratops. They were useful against the other matchups, like the back row matchups.
Yeah, that's perfectly fine. You can really do this, and it's not a bad idea. Again, instead of MST, I just play Heavy Storm Duster because when I face a control mirror match, I could just set this card for a turn and pass, and even when I go second, it doesn't really matter. I can just remove the floodgates anyways. And against OTK decks, I really don't expect too many floodgates then. When I face Dragon Link or at Ignistar, I usually don't expect them to have that many back row to deal with, and then this is more than enough. Okay, this was my side deck.
I think we can talk about your matchups now.
Yeah, my matchups were pretty off meta, but I faced everything from anything a bit. Round 1, I won against Tri-Brigade with ease because Sky Striker can grind it out when it gets into the grind game. Round 2 was against Necro Valley Dragoon Control, so a bit annoying because they have so many floodgates. They have Necro Valley, so I can't use my Ray out from the graveyard or Kagari on the field. This was a bit annoying, but nothing could stop me. I outed the Dragoon with Kaijus, and I have Happy Feather Duster or Phoenix and so on. Round 3 was against Chaos Lightsworn. This was a bit tough because he was able to build Griffin and set order, but I was able to stop this in game 2 and 3, so I won this in the end. Round 4 was against Prankets. This was a really long grind game. After 45 minutes I won game 1, and game 2 was Ash on the Pranket and I didn't lost on time, so this was really cool. Round 5 was against Ignistar. I lost round 1 because after Kaijuing the Link 6 they had more than enough to game in next round, but game 2 and 3 I just sided in my go first board, and I always had DD Ground or Judgment or even the Cosmic Cyclone for the field spell, so this was perfectly fine. Round 7 was against Prankets again. This was a bit easier. Won this with ease. 8 was against Megidolshi. I lost against Megidolshi because Megidolshi is busted against this deck, to be fair. They have an impermanence. They can search an impermanence that negates every card on the field. Like, they can just negate my engage and then OTK me next turn, so this was a bit of a problem, and I wasn't able to play through this because my opening hands weren't too great. I went day 1 with 21 points and I was 3rd place on my server, and then day 2 I played against Prankets again. I lost on time because my opponent was really slow. I could have won if I had 3 more seconds, and then I would be able to summon my triple burst and attack for game. But yeah, he stalled too long for time, and I drew this game. Or else I would sit now in the top 32 cut. But anyways, it's just fine as it is. Happens. I don't really mind. Round 10 was against Virtual World. This was really tough because Widow Anchor and Sharkanen aren't too great of cards against Virtual World. So I just have to hope I draw into my Ashes and in my Ghost Bats. But my game 3 hand was pretty bricky. This was my only brick and I lost the match. And last round I played against Cyber Dragons and I just let them go first because I'm go second deck and they weren't able to stop me after their first turn. So yeah, this was pretty fine for me. And yeah, I finished this tournament then with 8 wins, 1 draw, and yeah, I was 51st place and therefore the best Sky Striker on the event.
Do you want to give any shout out?
Sure, first off, shout out to my team Brick Boys, and to my sponsor Imperium Duelist. Also, I wanna shout out my local store and the community in Münster. You're great guys and I love you all. And especially thanks to my card provider Robin. Thanks to you, I have the prettiest Sky Striker deck in the world.
Yeah, it's pretty indeed. So thank you, Elias, for doing this deck profile for us, and
No problem.
I hope to see you in the top cuts in the next YCSs, and hope you have a great day.
Thanks, you too.
Thanks.